Last year, while we were on holiday in Scotland, we went for a walk along Glen Vale near Kinross. As we walked along the ravine a few miles, my son took this wonderful drone footage that you're watching now. We walked along about 2 miles. We were heading for some waterfalls, and when we got there, the weather had been so hot that, as you can see from the footage, there was very little water. As we stood there, right at the end there, near this trickle level waterfall, I was reminded of Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 17. And the Bible says he went to a place called Kerith Ravine. And the Hebrew word Kerith literally means cutting. That Elijah went to this place that was literally known as the place that was cut off. And as he hid in that ravine, as he sat there alone for some time, the Bible said the ravens came to feed him and they brought him food. I heard that story at Sunday school and I thought it was pretty wonderful and miraculous. But in recent years, the more I thought about it, the more distasteful it sounds as you imagine these ravens dropping this food off. And of course, they didn't bring it on a silver platter and it wasn't delivered very hygienically, I wouldn't imagine. But in this place of being cut off, he's fed and sustained while the rest of the country is experiencing a drought. They're really struggling. God protects and sustains Elijah. And as I stood in this place and we looked to one side and there was almost a little cave and you could imagine someone camping out there and being quite comfortable. In the short time we were there, I realised how isolated it was and how alone someone might feel if they were there by themselves. Did Elijah feel alone? Well, of course, being cut off from human company, he must have done. But we also know that he talked with God, and in those times their relationship must have deepened as he learned so much more about who God was. He also learned what it was to trust in God, as God fed him miraculously, as he had the water to drink from the brook. One of the other things that's remarkable about Glen Vale is about halfway along the ravine, there's a rock formation that was known as John Knox's pulpit. John Knox, the Scottish reformer, as far as we know, never went there. But the Covenanters in the 17th century, for fear of persecution, met in this very spot to worship. They went to this cut off place to worship their God in a way that would then avoid persecution and all that would follow. Sometimes God takes us to places where we're cut off, that he might provide, that we might get to know him more. Sometimes it's for our own safety, or that we might be taken away from the pressures or persecution in this world. So we think about Elijah and his covenanters in this cut off place. How is God leading us? And are we comfortable when we feel he takes us to places where we feel alone? In those places, will we talk with him more and deepen our relationship with God?